controls that really comes along best when, woo, oh, that was tight. That was dirty and tight. That was embarrassing. See, I'm still a novice. Woo, I was in the wrong gear for that. Leave that in there. I'm not embarrassed that that was such an ugly, tight pin turn. It still happens. Hey, it's a learning experience for all of us here. Like I said, we're gonna learn together. Fuck. Oh man. That just totally, mentally I'm thrown off now from the video, and I feel like I need to refilm. Boom! Hey guys, how the heck's it going? David Hayes, Hayes Moto. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic. We got for you another beginner rider tip video for you here today. And if you guys do appreciate that, a comment, like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff would be much appreciated. But we're going to get into it. And why am I standing down by the river? Well, tip number 1 is going to be take it all in. A nice slow exposure to the riding world. You really want to take your time at first to really learn what it is to be a rider. Learn what it is to be on a motorbike. Be in the world on 2 wheels. That slow exposure in taking it all in is going to be extremely critical in your learning phases, so then you can really not get overwhelmed when you're in these sort of situations where you're in heavy traffic, you're in a different environment with a lot of hills or a different surface, or any various number of situations that could arise while you're on a motorbike. So take it all in. A nice slow exposure into the world of motorbiking is really going to help you in the way of you're going to stick with it. You're not going to get overwhelmed. You're not going to go out there and do something silly and stupid, get yourself hurt, and then never ride again. Take your time, get into it, learn it, and love it. Now let's get on the bike for a little bit of some riding. Boom. Okay, I lied. We're not quite going to get on the bike just yet, because tip number 2 is going to be mastering these things right here. Your hand controls. You really want to learn how to utilize your clutch, your brake, your rear brake, your throttle, and all your controls while you're riding, well before you ever get into heavy traffic scenarios, or well before you ever get onto hilly sort of situations, or any of those other things that might involve a more intricate balance of hand controls, of clutch to throttle to brake, plus everything else that you got to do along with controlling your bike in traffic. Now that also comes with that slow exposure, taking your time practicing. Notice how a lot of these things have a very generalized theme of doing them repetitively so you master it. You're really going to want to master your hand controls, your clutch, your throttle, all those things, and really get a feel for the bike, what you're doing, and being able to control it. So now I think we'll actually ride. Boom! All right, and for tip number 3 is going to be body positioning. Body positioning is going to be very key, because it's going to determine kind of how comfortable you are to be able to ride your bike and to go through the corners and do all the things that you need to do, or balance your bike if you're having to ride slow. Body positioning is going to be an extreme key factor when it comes to riding and having control over your iron steed here, aka your motor missile. It's such a big thing. I see so many people that they're in the corners, but they're also in a tuck, like a race tuck. And it's just like, what are you doing? Why are you so far back on your seat? This is not MotoGP, and even that, that's some bad body position. if you're tight in the corner, you might want to be a little bit more upright, maybe bring your crotch into your gas tank a little bit, you know, kind of be more centralized on your bike so you have a little bit better control over both the front and back half of your bike. I don't know if other people will get this reference compared to people that have skied, snowboarded, or even skateboarding to some degree, surfing as well. The further back you stand on a board, the more your balance or the more your control goes into the back of that plank. So if I'm on the back of a surfboard, I'm controlling from the tail. If I'm really leaning back on my snowboard, I take the control from the middle of my snowboard and I put it into the back of the snowboard. In the same way, you're kind of doing that with the bike when you throw your butt so far back that you're now putting all your weight over your back wheel. You want to get a little bit more central on your bike and really kind of get a nice balanced sense of control. That's not to say further down the line you can't kind of change up your body position, and as you get into racing, I'm sure that's going to change too, but we're not dealing with that. We're dealing with beginner rider tips. So have good body position to the point to where you're comfortable to ride, to where you feel you're nice and centrally balanced and located on your bike, and you're not feeling awkward. And if you do have to, get different handlebars, maybe a different seat, or potentially just find that more ideal motorcycle for you to ride on that fits your body triangle, you know, is really going to benefit you in having that sense of control. So tip number 3, very important, is going to be make sure that you, you know, have a sense of your body position and pay attention to that, and make sure, again, you're comfortable and have good control over yourself while you're riding. All right, and for number 4, riding tip number 4 is going to be learn to read traffic. You need to look around. You need to see what other motor vehiclists are doing. Pay attention to where they're looking. Pay attention to where their wheels are pointed. If they're doing shoulder checks, if they're distracted by their phone or their passenger, learn to read traffic. We're so exposed on our motorbikes, but with that exposure, like I've said in videos prior, with that exposure comes the advantage of we are very able to look around and be aware of what's going on. Now that's also gonna like kind of feed in to tip number 1 of that slow exposure and take it all in. You want to get yourself to a point where you can actually manage to pay attention to some of those finer things of actually looking directly into the vehicles that are around you or paying attention to what they're doing, so you can anticipate what's going on. Especially in heavy city traffic, you want to have a sense of what the vehicles around you are doing, because it's just so, the chances of something happening unfortunately are there. So giving yourself as best opportunity to know what they're going to do, anticipate it, and give yourself the space needed. One of the biggest fears I have is when I'm behind a vehicle that's driving along on a nice straight open stretch of road and there's no real traffic or any obstruction around, and they're tapping their brakes. That scares me so much. I always either back way off of those people or try to get up and around them as quick as possible, because one of my biggest fears is definitely either rear-ending someone just because all of a sudden they slam their brakes on and I can't stop quick enough, or being sandwiched between bumpers of vehicles. Sorry about that. That is such a big fear. So paying attention to what traffic's doing, be aware of how people are driving and paying attention and riding according to that, giving space according to that. So that is going to be tip number 4. It's, you know, not so much in your control as to what other people are going to do, but what is in your control is the attention that you're going to give to the situations that you're in, and how you can react to them. Now, and tip number 5. Tip number 5 is going to be a very key one. Kind of goes along with everything else. It sums it all up, it ties it all up, and you know, it's definitely a very important thing. It's going to be one of the most common sayings that you're going to hear through your life of motorcycle riding, through all stages and with all groups of people. Is going to be ride your ride. Don't get caught doing someone else's ride. Make sure you're riding your own ride, and make sure that allows you to do all those other things that you need to do to make sure that you're taking it all in. You're mastering your hand controls, you're having decent body position, reading traffic, and you know what, you're just sticking to your lane and you're going at your own personal rate of speed that's comfortable to you, that is safe, and that allows you to enjoy yourself to the maximum amount that you possibly can. I do want to go back to that, a rate of travel that's safe. If you're on a road, say you're on the highway and you're not ready to be on the highway and you're traveling slow on the highway, my suggestion to you is you're not ready for the highway. If you're not traveling at least the rate of speed that traffic should be traveling at, I would strongly advise getting off of whatever those roads are, probably main roads or big roads, and getting back onto some of the smaller back roads and getting into areas where you can gain that comfort and that speed. Because certainly if you're on somewhere, again, like a freeway or a highway, and you're not able to travel at the correct rate of speed, you are putting yourself into quite a hazardous sort of environment. So I do encourage, in riding your own ride, make sure you're also riding in environments that are comfortable to you, going back to the take it all in and having proper control and ability to put yourself into those environments. Being on these twisty roads here, it's intimidating, especially when you start coming down these hills and coming through some of these corners, and you know, you're really having to ride everything correctly, because just the stakes are really quite high if you go down. And so make sure that you are ready and prepared and comfortable and kind of in those environments that you're able to handle and take on, just so you're not putting yourself into harm's way. So that's going to be my 5 tips. Now I am going to give you a bonus, because I live in somewhere that is technically a rainforest, and this is something I have to do on the daily. It's something you guys should probably do too, at least for this time of year for myself, is pay attention to the weather and become a meteorologist. Learn how to anticipate the weather and dress according, okay? Or at least make sure that you have changes of clothes or whatever it is, you're able to take layers off, put layers on. Because man, when you're out here on a motorbike, obviously you are so exposed to everything that any sort of shift in the weather one way or the other can really dramatically change how sort of comfortable you are during your ride. You really notice those weather changes. I mean, even just going from being in the sun to riding in somewhere that's been sitting in shade, you can just feel the temperature change there. So definitely pay attention to the weather and dress according. That is going to be my bonus tip for anyone that's made it this far in the video. So hey, if you guys made it this far, you got one extra tip than everyone else. So that is going to be my rider tip for you guys here today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments, what are your rider tips? And as always, if there's any sort of video suggestions, ideas, or anything that I could do, let me know. Absolutely love when you guys are down in the comments. And yeah, you guys stay absolutely classy. Love you guys. Take care. And I will catch y'all again real soon. Peace.